So hi, I'm Irene Smail. I am an assistant professor of anatomy here at the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. I grew up in part on the East Coast, and then I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and got my Ph.D. in anthropology at Arizona State University in Tempe, Arizona. When this opportunity came up at WVSOM, it kind of was too good to pass up on. It really fit a lot of where I wanted to be physically, but also the mission of this school in terms of training students to sort of serve these underrepresented communities, especially in Appalachia and other parts of the US, fit really well with a lot of my anthropology training on how we know that factors in the environment and in like social and cultural factors can have a real impact on human health. There's so many questions that we don't understand, that we don't have the answers to about how humans came to be and why we are the way we are today. And that's why I decided to go get a Ph.D. ultimately in evolutionary anthropology to better understand sort of what humans are today and how we got to be to that point. So my research has sort of a central theme, which is understanding human evolution, specifically by actually looking at a non-human example model, which are cercopithecid primates, which we know as African and Asian monkeys. I study modern and fossil monkeys, and I try to figure out how parts of like their bones and their teeth are related to how they interact with the environment, the types of foods that they eat. And then a second component is that I'm involved in a large field project where we actually go out to the field in Ethiopia and we pick up fossils and we try to find fossils of humans, and I try to find fossils of monkeys in order to kind of figure out what that trajectory looked like in the past and reconstruct human behavior in the past. We can compare different species of monkeys and look at different behaviors, but we also have a fossil record of monkeys that kind of parallels the time period where we also have humans evolving on the landscape. So we can see what humans are doing, we can see what monkeys are doing over that time period, and then sort of figure out at what point humans start to do something special and something unique that makes us really different from all of these other animals. Because a lot of my data are housed in museums in the US and abroad, I'm currently working on building up a data set of virtual models, data that I've taken, as well as 3D images of these fossils and of modern monkey bones that students can analyze here, because I recognize that they don't necessarily have the time or the money to spend 3 weeks at the museum in Ethiopia looking at the fossils directly. WVSOM has been incredibly supportive of my research, especially because anthropology is a bit of a weird science compared to a lot of traditional bench science. So they've provided me with startup funding to go to that museum in the Smithsonian and start collecting data to, create opportunities for students and for myself to expand this research. They've also given me time and support to go abroad to Ethiopia to go do my field season and make sure that I can, schedule that travel around my teaching and my service so that I can serve WVSOM while also being involved in these projects. A lot of people wonder why an anthropologist is working in an anatomy department at a med school. For me, that research aligns really well with a lot of what we teach students about, say, form-function relationships, looking at how humans and other species have evolved to look a certain way, to have our bones and our muscles shaped a certain way because of our adaptations. That not only helps give a deeper understanding of what we look like now, but also to understand when things go wrong, why might they have gone wrong? How might we be able to fix that? I spend a lot of my time, especially when I was a graduate student, but still today, doing public outreach on my research and being able to explain to the public why I do what I do in terms that they can understand. And so I would add that, for students engaged in research, that is an equally valuable skill to develop. Your patients aren't going to know the names of chemicals and, chemical reactions and different drugs. But if you can do that research and then know how to present that to somebody else who's not an expert, that's going to really help, again, build those communication skills to give someone the tools that they need to understand how you are helping them. Having that open mindset and understanding that things can change and you need to be able to adapt to that change is going to be really helpful for your future patients. If you know, okay, things 10 years ago that I learned in medical school are different now, and I'm going to be updated. I'm going to give you the best, most updated drugs. And if I realize that there's a gap in our medical knowledge, I have the skills to maybe start to be able to address that myself because I've had those research experiences as a student at WVSOM.